You are listening to the sounds of the Right On Network.
Hello and welcome to episode 13 of On the Record Jams, brought to you by the Right On Network. I'm AJ. And
I
on
am
this
Arthur.
episode of On the Record Jams, we're back, baby. 13 episodes, a baker's dozen. This is a lot of fun. I want to start off by thanking our Patreon subscribers because they're helping us go and grow, and you guys are the reason why this specific podcast exists, so we want to thank you. I want to start off by thanking Alan Wright. He's boldoutlaw.com. Check him out on Straight Out of the Federation of Blake 7 podcast, as well as April 5K. You can hear her on Straight Out of the Federation of Blake 7 podcast, as well as the Manhattan Project, talking about Seinfeld and Friends. We have Delvin Sims, known as DJ Merc, M-E-R-C. You're listening to his music right now. He's the sound of the Right On Network, M-E-R-C. Check him out on the music platforms. We have the podcrasher himself, Tim Price. He does the Outcasters podcast. We have friend of the Right On Network, Cluck Trent. We have Mark Blair and Laurel Phillips. You can hear them on Feathers and Foes, a Birds of Prey podcast. We have over in Australia, hello, Paul Hicks. Check out his podcasts, Waiting for Doom, DCOCD, The Gary Show, and Dial F for Flanger. We have the irredeemable Shag. He's over at the Fire and Water Podcast Network. And maybe you might be listening to this in the future, but still, check out the hashtag JSApril. That's what Shag is spearheading over at the Fire and Water Podcast Network. And that is podcasters and bloggers across the globe coming together to celebrate one common cause, and that is celebrating 85 years of the Justice Society of America, comic books' first superhero team ever. And he does lovely programming like JSA in the 1990s. He does Justice League International Bwahaha podcast, Who's Who Revisited. Go to a search engine, type in Fire and Water Podcast Network, and they will treat you right, man. We have Justin Steiner. He's Shoefly Pie. He blogs about it on Substack, Shoefly Pie. Justin Steiner, blogging about music. We have Rick from Jeff and Rick Present, Unpacking the Power of the Power Pack. Thank you, Rick. We have Chris Pine 1, not that Chris Pine, but that Chris Pine. We have Bill Beer of The Bat Pod. The great Jordan Holt. The greatest. She's the greatest. And Clinton Robeson. Thank you, guys. Thank you for going to patreon.com/rightonNetwork. All right, this is episode 13, Arthur, and we're back. We're getting close to the summertime in 2025. So I think this band is kind of spring, kind of summer-like. And what I'm bringing to the record on this episode of On the Record Jams is an outfit called the New Pornographers, and this record called The Laws Have Changed. They're an outfit out of Canada. Sometimes they're described as a supergroup because you have Dan Behar, and he has a career on to himself. You have Nico Case, again, singer-songwriter. One time she was described as having a voice that sounds like the ghost of Patsy Cline. So take what you will out of that. And one of the main songwriters, like the kind of force behind the band, A.C. Newman. So, Arthur, this is, you can call them an indie rock group. They are someone where there's sometimes when you come to things late, you're like, okay, cool. You know, you and I, we've talked about Wu-Tang Clan records on this podcast before. They were someone where, like, you know, it was Wu-Tang Clan, Method Man's Takao, Old Dirty Bastards, Return to the 36 Chambers, Raekwon's Only Built for Cuban Links, and GZA's Liquid Swords. Those 5 albums came out, and then boom, I discovered them. So when I started listening to stuff, I was like, oh, this is great because it's all this music I can listen to. So that was fun for me. But there are some things where it's like, you know what? I wish I would have known about this at the time. So like Doctor Who, I came into that late in life. I wish I would have known about that sooner. And this band, the new Pornographers, which I've never really said this before on a podcast. I think the name is a mistake. I've seen them in concert a number of times, and I'll buy a shirt, but I always feel weird, like I don't want to wear this out or like tell someone about it. So I think it's kind of a mistake. I think if for some reason, like if I try to look into it, like maybe the word means this, I mean, nah. And then like maybe if they're a hardcore band or something. But one time someone, I think they described them as this, maybe being dismissive, but the person, AC Newman, took it on the cheek and went, no, that's what we're trying to do. But someone was like, oh, they're trying to be the Partridge Family. And it's like, yeah, I guess they are. But I didn't know about the new Pornographers until their third album was released in 2007. So I was like,
okay, yeah, that's after this.
It's after this. Or maybe it was 2005. So I do remember, because I used to read a lot of magazines at the time. I remember, like, someone used the title of an article or something. It like, "Hey, you rock and rollers" or something, and then that's something that's used in this second album, because what I'm bringing to the record, "The Laws Have Changed," is off the second record called Electric Version. I think if push came to shove and I was on this island where I can't get off of it, but for some reason it has electricity, and they say you only bring one new Pornographers album, this is not the best one, but I think this is the one I would bring. And it's "The Laws Have Changed." I love this song. Some might say it's their best song. I think it's far from it. I would pick maybe like 5 other songs before it. But the one reason why I picked this one, I do feel like all their tricks, all their stuff, all their little charm, it is all in this. And one of the reasons why I like this record is because I'm a sucker for, it's a band that have multiple singers. They got keys in it. There's some piano or something in it. Background vocals.
Yeah.
It might be borderline messy and sloppy, and it's like it's garage rock too. But like, to me, sounds like pop music to me. Whereas like other people like, yeah, it sounds like garage noise. But to me, this sounds like pop music. You gonna say something, Arthur?
No, I'm with you. It does sound like pop music. And I guess that's kind of odd when you got to the early 2000s, where making something with like a catchy hook was almost like a rebellious thing to do, unless you went all the way with it, right? And you were like in a full group, or like you were really had a lot of resources behind you. So to be a group that was more like an indie group, but still say, hey, I'm going to do these hooks. I'm going to do these catchy hooks. And I don't mind if it gets stuck in your head. Like, I don't want to be hyperbolic, but it's like, I think some of that stuff kind of helps save some of the other subgenres of music, right? Because I think sometimes when music goes into the thing of like, hey, I'm going to try to be weird on purpose, and I'm going to lose the sight of, hey, this stuff should be fun, even if it doesn't sell 70 million copies. I think sometimes a lot of goodness can get lost, right?
Yes. You were talking about that as far as like, what if trying to make the catchy hook is the rebel yell when you're living in those kind of times? So, yeah, let's talk about this, because, hey, as much as I love the new Pornographers, they came out in 2000. At that time, they may have thought maybe this is just a one-time project. And for a band that thought like this is going to be a one-time project, they've been going for 25 years strong and still growing. So yeah, wow. I wish I would have known about them at the beginning and seen them in those early shows. But here are the lyrics to it, because I think what's going on is they're a band where it's like, hey, I can't tell you what they're talking about. I don't know. They're doing those Bob Dylan, maybe it's brilliant, maybe it's nonsense line. So I don't know what this stuff means. But maybe like we're saying, hey, it sounds like a pop song. But maybe we might look at these lyrics and go, hey, I think there might be something not darker here, but deeper. And they're hiding it in the aesthetics of it sonically. So he goes, it was a crime at the time, but the laws have changed them. Though the hero for hire is forever the same one. Introducing for the first time, Pharaoh on the microphone. Sing all hell what will be revealed today. When we peer to the great unknown, from the line to the throne. Awaken to cheers after years on the fault line. We are shocked to be here in the face of the meantime. Pharaoh, all your methods have taught me is to separate my blood from bone. It will fail. Feel what I feel today. When we peer to the great unknown, from the line to the throne. Then they do the la 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 la, form a line through here. La la la, form a line through here. Form a line to the throne. La la la, form a line to the throne. Alone in the chain, it remains to be seen how well you can play when the pawn takes a queen now. Woof. Every time I hear that one, I go, woof, man. When the pawn takes a queen, like, oh man, that's a bar. Oof. Introduced for the first time, Pharaoh on the microphone. Sing all hell what will be revealed today when we peer to the great unknown, from the line to the throne. Sing all hell what will be revealed today when we peer to the great unknown, from the line to the throne. And then they do the little fa la la thing. And then at the end, they hit you with it was a crime at the time, but the laws have changed, yeah. It was a crime at the time, but the laws have changed, yeah. Arthur, so, okay. I hit you with this. I'm like, hey, man, on the next episode of On the Record Jams, I would like to do this song, The Laws Have Changed. So when you popped this in, what did you think?
You know, I'm a sucker for trying to find context. And so, of course, as soon as I hear that, it's like you said, it sounds like they're trying to bury something sneaky in here. And I went around and it seems like people aren't going out of their way to reveal what to give us the magic on it. So it's like, well, I'll just go back to jamming then. I'll give up, but I'm going to keep listening to try to see if there's something going on. Because just the use of certain words just makes me wonder. Trying to place myself in that period of time. I mean, 2003, you know what I was listening to? I was listening to the Black Album, and which was at the time, and also at the time, like retro 90s R&B. People were starting to already bring that 90s R&B stuff back in the early 2000s. That's kind of a lot of what I was listening to.
The Black Album was 2003?
Also, I was going back.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Because, Blueprint 1 was 2001, yeah. Blueprint 2 was 2002, and Black Album was 2003. Wow, okay. And then, the alleged retirement was 2004.
Yes, and you can fit this anywhere. Like, you could read this and go, like, maybe it's about segregation. Drinking out the same water fountain. It was a crime at that time, and the laws have changed. We also have this, line to the throne. Maybe, this is 2003. We got the Iraq war going on, for us or against us, that kind of stuff. The terrorism post 9/11. So it's written in the fog of that. I do like the back and forth of, is AC Newman singing? Boom. Is Nico K singing? Is AC Newman singing? They have other female vocalists. I love the going back and forth. I love the guitarists come in, they come out. I love sonically what this sounds like. Like, especially like this song. I like all types of music, and this type of music sonically, like rock, garage, but it's poppy. This is one of my jams. Like, this is one of my wheelhouses that I love.
Nice. Yeah. And that's exactly what I kind of thought it was. And I was like, man, I know I remember these guys. And like I was telling you before, it's like I've heard the artist name, but I've never really dug into them. So this gave me an excuse to kind of listen to some more songs. And yeah, I jumped around a little bit. And yeah, it was the same thing. It was like that, like you say, it's indie rock, but it's also like, hey, we're not trying to be unlistenable here. We're trying to be catchy. We're talented, and the singing is good, like straight up. Like Nico's voice is strong, and it's like it's it's like it's cutting through everything, and like she's good to go.
She's actually holding back. If you go to one of her solo shows, man. So Nico Case in the early 90s, she was a part of this kind of punk rock collective called Cub. And in that group out of Vancouver, Canada, in that group is a woman named Lisa Marr, who in the later 90s or mid to late 90s, she was in a band called Deer. And she played bass in that, and she sang. I saw them live once. I always wanted to see them again, but they never came to town again, or I missed them, and then they broke up. Awesome music. Awesome. So if I could have saw Lisa Marr and Nico Case in the same venue, that would have been wonderful. So I would, like, if you like, it's not the same type of music, but if you like Nico Case, and I would check out Lisa Marr. Lisa Marr. Okay. She usually plays bass.
Yeah.
Good songwriter. Good singer. A lot of personality to her voice. Good stuff. I need to check out Cub. I heard it before, and it was like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. But jangling, melodic, jangly form of pop punk. That's one of my favorite kind of things to describe Cub is that. But the new Pornographers are fun because they're like the Beatles. They're like the Wu-Tang Clan where there's multiple leads. So when I go to the next song, who knows what's going to happen? Right?
Yeah,
because
right.
on some of the, and now Dan Behar, he wasn't on this track, but sometimes he's the lead. Sometimes it's Nico and AC Newman. They're singing in unison. They're both the leads, or they're trading back and forth. Or this record is Nico Case only. So it makes it fun. It makes it interesting because you're getting like a well-rounded kind of, and like the way their music is, like, yeah, I mean, they're beholden to, I guess, like power pop, garage rock, but they can come at it from so many different angles. And I think that's why it's like, okay, they've been doing this for 25 years. Why? I think they still know how to, like, but I can approach pop this way and I can approach pop that way. And then, hey, at the end of the day, Nico Case keeps coming back. That's a hell of a secret weapon to have. And they're great live. So to hear this live, man. So it was the last time I saw them, this is the year 2025. It was 2023. It was a Saturday. And it was the new Pornographers in town and Taylor Swift. And they're like, hey, what are you guys doing here? They're like, what you guys are doing here for? But you should be with your kids and watch Taylor Swift.
It's like, no, I'm good here. Give me the show.
Yeah, and it's at the point where when I go see them, I'm the youngest person there. Yeah, because most of their fans are older. I think this is what happened. Maybe when the first album came out in 2000, like things were starting to turn, like music and hip hop, rock, all this stuff. They're about to go into a different direction. And I think the thing about the new Pornographers is they were like one of those last bands to kind of still do like, but I want this though. Before you make the change, I still like this. So really, the new Pornographers probably should have released an album or two and stopped. So then that way it's like, oh man, all them bands I like, they stopped doing it. So I don't know. I just went in a different direction. I started listening to jazz records and I raised my family. But they kept going. So I raised my family, listened to jazz records, and I'm still following the new Pornographers. And it's just,
which is good.
So it's just the audience just grew up with them. So yeah.
That's good. And now everybody shouldn't stop too, right? Like if you can just, some people, it's like they're kind of appreciating that supergroup concept to say, hey, I don't have to do it all myself. I don't have to sing every note. I'm not worried about trying to live up to some sales or some award season. Like, I'm just sitting in here. I have a following, and I just get to make the music. People generally know what they expect from us, and we're capable of, and willing to give it to them. So let's keep going. I mean, a question I had for you about this group, they're already a super group, but are they mostly like self-contained, or do they use outside people even outside of their super group?
I know on the last two albums, AC Newman outsourced some songwriting, but the main people like Dan Behar, he does what remember Malik B from The Roots. I think his whole thing was he never toured with them outside of Philadelphia. I think that was the case. And with rest in peace, Malik B.
By the way.
Man, I'm telling you, oh man, The Spark. We're gonna cover that one day on the Record Jams. The Spark, man. I just think that's the definition right there. But anyway, with Dan Behar, what he'll do if he tours with them, when it's not a song where he's the lead, he goes off stage. And then it's like, oh, it's one of the dance songs. Then he comes back. Now, the last two albums, he's not on them. I think the latest album, his vocals was on the first track, and that's it. But the past two albums, he wasn't on them. And just my opinion only. The third album is when they really started to, I don't know if I would say crossover, but like their music was being played in commercials and stuff. This was 2007. They have live performances on David Letterman. They got a lot of live performances on David Letterman. And man, they find a way to keep themselves sharp, to justify like, okay, man, you're going to season 4. Why? Okay, the story you told us, yeah, this deserved a season 4. And I think with them, there's one album where I'm kind of iffy about, but the rest of the albums, I'm like, man, I jam them all the time. I feel like their latest 2 albums is just as good or better as their first 3 albums. And again, but see, I'm a sucker for it because to me it's just they're good singer-songwriters. They do background vocals. It's different singers doing the lead. So to me, I feel like it changes up the personality of like the album in a good way. So I feel like it's can't lose. And then they have interesting lyrics for you to chew on. So that whole thing about, what do you do when the pawn takes a queen now? And it's like, wow, like for that to happen in chess, that's like unheard of. So what are you talking about in the real world where, man, like if a pawn takes a queen, you got to change up your whole game plan. And would you have time to do that before you're eliminated? So what is he saying there? Woo.
Yeah.
Form a line to the throne. To do what? To speak your piece? To overthrow? What? To be beheaded? Man. And again, I just got to repeat just the whole thing of how they trade off. It's like Run DMC. Trading off vocals, going back and forth. I love when Nico Case and AC Newman when they go back and forth with the vocals.
Yep, and they did it a lot on this song, and even a couple of the ones I listened to, it was the same thing, but it wasn't predictable. Even if you knew, okay, there's going to be some trade-offs, you just don't know where the next lyric is coming from and who it's coming from. So yeah, I like that.
I always imagine them like they sound like music teachers in the 70s and 80s for an elementary school, and they just decided to get together and like, hey, let's form a band. Because for the title of their,
again, they kept
doing it. For the title of their name, they're pretty benign. So I've never read like, so you guys call New Pornographers, why? But yeah.
Right. Sometimes, man, in some cases, artists really use that subtext and they kind of give you hints into what they were doing, or it leads into something else. And sometimes it's like, hey guys, this is just a lyric. I'm not going to ruin the illusion for you by telling you what I meant. You decide what I meant and have fun with it. We'll be back with more songs in a couple of years.
And for this to sound like a pop song, I love listening to it live sometimes because it sounds like chaos. There's a lot of things. It's the singers fighting against the chaos of the music. It's the music fighting in the chaos of what they're trying to get across. But I mean it in a good way. Some good trouble. Some good chaos.
Some good trouble.
Wow. Though the hero forgot us for another same one. And I don't know if you got a chance to check out the video.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I led with the video. The first time I listened, I had the video with me, and then I did it without a couple of times. Then I went back and did the video again.
So this is a band where I would see them in magazines, and I never paid it any never mind. And our mutual friend Kevin was like, hey, check this out. Like, because he was like, hey, you like bands with multiple singers? And he gave me their third album, which is amazing, Twin Cinema. And I was like, oh man, this is great. So I jammed the heck out of that. That was like 2005. And then I went back to the first two albums, and I was like, actually, I remember, in 2000, 2001, I was doing like the sketch comedy with some people. And they use this new Pornographers song off the 2000 album, but I never followed up on it. But this is something where it was just, you know what? I wish I would have known about them sooner. But now, I mean, it doesn't matter. It's over 20 years later. So now, relatively speaking, I learned about them pretty soon, their third album. But I never...
Right. Yeah, I mean, you've had 20 years now with them.
So, final thoughts about The Laws Have Changed.
Yet another jam, man. I mean, we were in the 60s and 70s, but what do you know? We listen to stuff outside of that too. And I always say this, we've been a blessed people as it relates to the content we've been able to consume in our time and space, because we had a mix, right? We had our parents kind of beating us over the head with quote unquote their stuff. And then once we hit high school age and early college age, things got wide open with the digitization of music and yes, the piracy of music. And we started to be able to get our hands on all sorts of things. And that's going to come into play into the song I picked. But it's just your ability to stumble into stuff is so much stronger now. It's just no telling where you end up if you're willing to turn off a couple of filters and not just listen to what you've always listened to.
Yeah, so check out some new Pornographers. Check out their song Cat and Mouse with the Lights. It was on their latest album called Continue as a Guest. That's not one of their best songs, but I freaking love it. And I had a chance to see it live. I was scared that, maybe this isn't one that they'll play live. They played it live, and I was happy about it. And I didn't record it, because they didn't want you to use your phones. I didn't record it. But, wow, man.
Much respect. You recorded it in your mind. You had a moment with it in person.
I had a moment with it in person. Like the good old days.
Like the quote, and you didn't miss it while trying to document it.
Oh, and here's something else about this band too. But it's a lot of bands I follow. I'm not really hung up on what they play on the set list. Like, man, if they don't play this, it's going to ruin my whole night, because they keep giving you bangers. So, hey, I don't mind. But usually, I think at this point, they're going to always play The Laws Have Changed. So you will have a chance to see that live if you go see them. But yeah, stick around. We're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to see what Arthur puts on the record for On the Record Jams, episode 13. Check it out.
Keep jamming.
Trekker Talk. a fan podcast devoted to the adventures of 23rd century bounty hunter Mercy St. Clair, from the pages of Trekker Comics by writer and artist Ron Randall.
I'm Darren.
And I'm Ruth.
Please join us as we discuss the stories, characters, and art in this excellent retro sci-fi adventure series.
Special episodes feature interviews with Ron Randall himself discussing Trekker and his other comics.
We hope you'll join us as we travel from the dangerous backstreets of New Guelph to the depths of outer space and everywhere in between.
Listen at Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and YouTube.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or visit trekkertalk.com.
Trekker Talk is part of the Rad Adventures Network at radadventuresnetwork.com.
All right, thanks for sticking around. This is On the Record Jams, brought to you by the Right On Network. Arthur, what are you putting on the record?
I am going to 2015, and I am putting Neon Indian, Alan Paloma, the Glitzy Hive on the record. I guess to give a precursor to how I stumbled into this, Neon Indian, before this album, which I love and I listen to it all the time, like I have to retire it and then bring it back out of retirement like a wrestler, like all the time, because otherwise I'll just run it into the ground. I would just listen to it like at least once a month and it would just be too much. But I love this album, Vega International Night School. And this is so much a stumble into pre-awareness of algorithms, but it was totally algorithms, right? And I landed with Neon Indian because of MGMT. So I liked Electric Feel. Electric Feel stumbled into my life, and I was like, okay, whoever these people are jamming. And I got that album. In some kind of way, the algorithm showed up and gave me Neon Indian, but it wasn't this. It was Deadbeat Summer, which is more in that, I don't know if you remember like the early 2010s, this whole chill wave, like that 8-bit music, like it sounds real kind of like dry or like washed out, Feel It All Around. Do you remember that song?
I'm pretty sure if you played it, I would know what it is.
Yeah, but it was like a whole subgenre, and they were calling it chill wave, and it was like, okay, whatever. But Neon Indian, this was a group for Alan Paloma, and he had other groups too. He had when he did a solo thing, he was Vega. So this album was kind of like a combination of, like, if you got two side groups and you say, hey, I'm making music for both of these groups, but I'm in both groups, why don't I smash it together and make one album? That's kind of what he did. And it was a little bit of a rebel yell of him going not totally away, but he was not 100% in that subgenre. And that's how I stumbled into this album, which was a lot of retro, let's call it like 80s punk or 80s pop, like the type of stuff you would see when you would just turn on MTV and you didn't ask any questions. You just listen to whatever they played, right? So you would get Sting and the Police, you would get Prince, you would get Red Red Wine, like you would just get random songs and you would hear them and you would be like, hey, I kind of like these songs. Like you hear them enough and they just kind of get in your head. Like to me, he made an album filled with that type of stuff, like real guitar playing, some instrumentation, a little bit of hip hop in there still with some samples and some sneaky little nods, but just it's the general idea of the album is that it's like about like the New York nightlife and all the stuff that goes on with some single dude out in New York type of thing. And it's almost a concept album, but not really. He kept it loose enough. And yeah, the Glitzy Hive it's just a perfect 80s song to me. And it just happened to come out in 2015. It's the thirsty guy trying to talk to some girl and she's some party girl. And so he realizes like, yeah, I'm trying to like link up with you, or I'm really trying to check into you and see what you got going on. But yeah, this isn't going to work. because you're all into the party life, and you're so into it that you don't even like you're almost not even a full form person for me to date for real, like every thirsty guy on an 80s pop song would want to do, right? Like, I'm just this guy trying to show up out of nowhere and talk to you. And this was a song where it's like he almost talked himself out of it, like during the song. So I like little nerdy stuff like that, because it's kind of turning that concept on his ear of just, hey, I'm just this 80s pop music guy, and of course it's going to work out because I'm a guy and I sang to you real hard, and so now we're going to hook up, right?
It's interesting. Okay, so, I'm hoping that all of you looked at the episode description and we put the link in there. I hope that you listened to the song before listening to this segment. It's interesting that you're saying the 80s thing. I guess you're right about that. To me, I feel like, because I'm still trying to, I think I am coming to terms with it, but I'm still trying to make this distinction between the aughts, the early 2000s, 2000 to 2009, or 2000, 2010, and then 2011 to 2020. Like, what are the sounds? And I feel like with this song, I feel like I heard this all throughout the 2000s, like these past 20 years. Like, as soon as I hear this music, I feel like I want to put clothes on and then go out for the night. Like, every time I hear this song, I feel like I want to go to Express for Men, try some clothes on, and then go out for the night.
Yeah.
I mean, and I feel like I heard this like from maybe 1999 or 2000 all the way to really now. So that's what made me think of, like, I feel like I've heard this music all throughout the 2000s. You said Management, Daft Punk, all that stuff. I keep thinking, like, is that what this is?
Yeah.
And then when you were saying 80s music, I was like, okay, I get what you're saying there, where it's like, all right, we are influenced by the 80s and we're using modern technology and aesthetics and having this whole new wave, a chill wave. But yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, even like referencing 80s songs, like you could be all dressed up in someone else's love. Oh, say it isn't so. Like, you're just this girl that's just out for whatever. So crap, I'm not gonna be able to get with you because you'll just, you could be with somebody else like the next day. So crap, and like that. But I'm gonna dress you up in my love. Obviously, that's a Madonna lyric. So, like, he just does it and moves on. So that's where I kind of hear the 80s at. But you're right. Like, the last 20 years, there's been so many, let's take it back to this era type music. And the 80s really has had multiple runs. And yeah, right. There's super duper huge pop stars now making these types of songs, like the Glitzy Hive. And I'm like, could somebody please cover the Glitzy Hive? Please, could somebody do this? Because it's another one. This is an artist and the album and this song that I usually don't care too much about, like charts and rankings and lists. You know that about me. But sometimes, like, somebody will knock something out of the park like this, and I'm like, how was this not a bigger hit? Like, how do I not hear this every time I take my daughter to the mall and we buy like $32 t-shirts or whatever? Like, why is this not on in the background? Why does my daughter not know about this? She's 16, right? Like, how is this not something that ended up getting licensed on some TV show? Like, how is this work not all in somebody's face? But, the reality is just everything can't hit, right? But in my mind, I just hold out hope that one day I'm going to watch some show on Netflix that my wife is watching, and some Neon Indian song is going to show up on there. Like, that's how much I like this album.
I want to lie to you and say that this has been the backdrop of when I was out and about all the time, but I don't know. I don't know, but I swear, like I didn't know, like, oh, that's Neon Indian. This is Glitzy Hive. But when I heard this music, I felt like, no, I know from at least 2011 to now.
And
that's been on the background. But was it? I don't know. But it sounds like it. I feel like this was in the background.
And the thing is, like, if you talk about who worked on this, a lot of this is Alan Paloma himself. His brother played bass, I believe. But another name that's involved with this album is Ben Allen. So Ben Allen did work with Gnarls Barkley like crazy, right? So in my mind, I'm like, and he's been kind of like, if you look at his song credits, he's been involved with some pretty big hits. So in your mind, like, I don't want to get caught up feeling too sorry for Neon Indian, because it's like, well, if he got a chance to call Ben Allen, maybe just maybe things just worked out, and it's just a matter of where I was at. I just didn't happen to be around when it happened, right? Like I just didn't happen to be at that club when those songs were on all the time. I I got married in 2014. So, maybe I just miss being somewhere where Glitzy Hive is on no matter where you go, right?
Handsome Boy Modeling School. This just makes me think of a lot of stuff. And also, as far as like, we talk about records, as far as this being a good record, what's going on in this record is very deliberate sonically. What they're going for, like, this is something like a happy accident. Every little moment in this song is purposely thought out,
right?
Because they're trying to give you the sound, this feel. They're trying to give you this modern day nostalgia.
Yes, and also too, he did something else I'm a sucker for. If you listen to the album as a whole, Vega International Night School again. Like, if you listen to the album, there's a lot of transitions between songs, which, you're going to get me if you do that to me, because then that makes it feel even more deliberate and more like, let's just keep the party going. Even if all the songs don't sound the same, you're still melting these songs into each other, which me as a non-musician, I just want to believe that that's hard to do. Like, because then you got to be thinking about keys and tempos and all those different things to kind of keep that listener going on that same train for 45, 50 minutes, even if it's 30 minutes, right? And like, yeah, this album as a whole does a lot of that, even with some slower pieces, even with some genre twisting, even with a little bit of dance, even with some tricks that he pulled. And yeah, he did the 80s reggae pop thing on a couple of songs. But yeah, this was just kind of like Wham memorial type stuff, like George Michael when he was in Wham level type of song. So when I hear it, that's what I hear. And again, I love that stuff. So it's like Everything She Wants or something. Like it's just going to work on me every time if it's well executed.
A collective out of Denton, Texas.
Yeah. And he'll do some Spanish spoken music as well too. So he's been around, and he's been around since this, but like, to me, it's like, okay, he got Ben Allen, so he had resources of some sort. So he wasn't just like rolling up in his couch trying to get a few dollars and trying to rig up an album. It took him a long time to get this one together, 'cause I think it was like 2 or 3 years of working on it in different places and different things, trying to get it together. But interviews I've watched even before in preparation for this, it always just suggests that, man, they really wanted to play. They wanted to jam. They wanted to make something that was really, really good. So, and I think you can just kind of hear that, because they're trying to be catchy. These hooks are not cutting you any slack. They'll get in your head. They're different, but they work. And even when you're doing like another hallmark of what I call like whatever this is, like this 80s retro music, but also music directly from the 80s. Like, we didn't care as much as kids, because obviously we didn't have the internet, but like you go look and maybe a chorus or a couple of lines, you don't 100% know what they're saying. Like you can't make out every single word super clearly because it's more about the sound. It's more about getting the mood across and telling the basic story. But like even the chorus for this, is it party? She's a monster party? Is it she's at the monster party? Is it it's a monster party? I don't care. For me, I've always said it was party. She's a monster party. Like she's gonna be all at this party. Like when you see her, you know it's a party going on. Like, so that's what I told myself the first 50 times I listened to this song. And this is a song where it's like, I can't let the verse start till I hear cause it starts with the chorus. And I listen to the chorus like 3 times before I let the song start. I'm like the annoying DJ. Like I do the annoying DJ thing to myself when I start listening to this song, because that's how much I like this doggone song. Like and it's every time. Like, I mean, I don't care if I'm in the gym, in the car, like I'll go through something to hit back and start the song again before I let him get into the verse.
I've never DJ'd a party, but if I did, this would be a song I'll put on because I feel like it wouldn't stop anything. And it would keep the party flowing.
Yes, man. Yes, it would. I don't know what a Glitzy Hive is, but I use context clues. But it doesn't matter because this is one of these. This is just a jam, man. And it's the little story of the guy trying to do his little hookup thing. And he picked the wrong girl and it's not going to work out. But whatever. He still got to sing about it. And she's at the monster party. Or she is a monster party. Or it's a monster party. But whatever. There's a monster party happening and it's a good time.
I'm going to talk out of turn. I'm going to say this again. I feel like when Beck released Midnight Vultures, people were like, what the hell are you doing? Yeah. Beck, his first album, it was Mellow Gold. He had that record Loser. And they're like, oh, hey, what's this? This is like a 90s alternative slacker Bob Dylan. Oh. And then when he released his second album, Odelay, people were just flipped out. They're like, oh my God, this is great. They flipped out. And then the third album, he released Midnight Vultures, and they're like, what are you doing? But I feel like he was on to something really early, and I call it like suburban R&B. And I feel like a lot of, like, he should be grandfathered in because he was doing this stuff. Now, could you accuse him of, was he being silly? Even if he was being silly, he was committed to the bit. So, like, he was never smirking or anything like that. But I feel like he was trying to do some stuff where in the late 90s, folks were like, what are you doing? And then, I'm not saying management is like Midnight Vultures or Tame Impala.
Oh, yeah, Tame Impala. Yeah.
Okay, so Tame Impala, management. I'm not saying that stuff sounds like Midnight Vultures. But I don't know. So anyway,
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying because sometimes like rappers will talk about this all the time, right? They're like, hey, I'm the one that made the sacrifice and kind of made it to where it was okay for other people to do this. You know what I mean? Like whether it be, you know, Big Daddy Kane making songs for the ladies or Jay-Z talking about personal stuff and sounding like he's about to start crying on the song or whatever, like even that, like making retro music when you're not quote unquote from the culture or you're not like some kid that like your dad was the lead singer of the OJs or something. Like you're just, you've heard that music too and you want to make it and you're not sure if you can make it or not. So you're going to lean into the musicianship, but you're going to crack a couple jokes in there just in case people say, oh, this ain't good enough to stand next to the songs that you're trying to make, right? And I think at least to me, like, especially knowing that I jammed that album too. I mean, Midnight Vultures is a good time. And I think we talked about this a few months ago when it came up again. I listened to the whole thing again. I was like, okay, yeah, he jumped off a bridge with this, but like he made it to where he made it to where other people could just do it and didn't have to explain it.
Yeah.
So like Tame Impala just does it, and they never stop to say, hey, by the way, we know what we're doing.
Yeah, it just is. And we're so far away from where this originally sounded, it belongs to everybody now.
Right. And people know it's kind of the right thing to do, because making catchy, danceable music is not a crime. And again, in the 80s, like that was a lot of that music, man. Sometimes I call that stuff, like, especially like the hard dance floor R&B stuff. You know, sometimes I call that stuff like Jerry Curl jams, because it's just like, man, everybody had the curls going, the froze. They either had the curl they froze or just curls. And man, people were at the clubs, man. People were doing those line dances. People were trying to do it, and hip hop was getting mixed into it. And it's so, you know, I always talk about having a tour guide, and this guy that I worked with my dad, Big John Chandler, man, he's right of the age where he would have been going out in the early 80s. So like that's his era. And so he loves that type of music, whether it be R&B or pop. But like his thing was like, give me the dance floor music, right? Like give me that stuff. So like for me, it's fun to look around years after that, spending that time with Big John and Chandler, and then seeing groups just building whole careers off kind of sort of doing that. And don't even start me on Mayor Hawthorne and Jake One and Tuxedo, and how much I love them. Like they managed to make 4 albums as a group, and they tour, and it's obvious they're making Jerry Curl music. Like that's what they're doing. They know they're doing it. They're doing it on purpose, and it's a go.
Bruno Mars
is doing that, and somebody locked him in a room with Don't Be Cruel, Bobby Brown's Don't Be Cruel, and he's like, I think I know what I'm going to do now for the next 10 years. I'm going to make the best 1989 R&B music you can find, and I'm going to do it. I'm not going to explain myself. I'm just going to do it. And then he was nice enough to bring Anderson .Paak along for the ride too, which I really appreciate.
I like what you're saying here, Glitzy Hive. This is some Jerry Curl jams, and how sonically they kind of put a muffle on it. I don't know how to describe it.
Yep.
To again make it sound like you're listening to something from the past, but it was released in 2015.
Yep.
To give you this feel.
I wondered if he's hiding his vocals too. I worry about that, but that's my D'Angelo fan coming out, right? Like D'Angelo,
yeah,
captain of the R&B ship for the late 90s. Man, he's been notorious for years for muffling his vocals. And I've seen him live, and obviously he doesn't sing like that live. So that means he has to like go through a process in the studio to try to make his vocals sound more obscure, to do some of that. Maybe I don't know exactly what you said on that line stuff, but I know Neon Indian kind of sees himself as more of a maestro, or a person that puts it all together, and he just like ends up singing the songs. But I mean, you saw those videos of him singing live. I wouldn't say he was a killer singer, but I will say he leaned into everything, and he committed it to everything. Like he's jumping around like he's at the club listening to his own music, except he's performing too. And so,
which is more of a risk because you got to do breath control.
Yes. And he's doing that, and it's still working. And so I was like, I love this guy. I love what he's doing. I love that he took 2 groups and put them together and said, okay, Neon Indian is my chill wave group. Vega is my Jerry Curl jams music. I'm going to put them both together and make one album and see what I get out of it. And yeah, Vega International Night School.
This, I've never thought this on an episode of On the Record Jams, but I think this is a record where the music needs to be playing as we're talking.
Yeah, it's hard to put it
because I'm hearing it in my head.
Yeah.
As you're talking.
Maybe we need to talk to Alan, man, and be like, Mr. Paloma, come on, man, don't sue us. What's the record label on this? Let us slap this in the background. So it's the best description is just wham, man. Anything she wants. It's like kind of like that, but for a different era. But it's in that same kind of mood, and it's just it works, man.
I think I guarantee you, if someone was like, "Hey, let me listen to this record before I listen to that commentary on it," it's going on through their head as they're listening to us talk.
It's happening to me right now too.
See, I'm telling you, yeah. So, yeah. Well, final thoughts about this one, Arthur.
It's well written too, by the way. He's got catchy lines in there too, right? Like,
well, and let's also go into let's drop the music out. Let's listen to the partiers in the background singing it. That whole trick at the end.
Yes, all of that. And he did that a couple more times in the album, and that's a deliberate choice, of course. Like he mentioned taking that from Prince in a couple of cases. Like, is this live or is this not? Like, it's clear he knows what he's doing, and he's got an era that he's coming with, and it's not exactly specific songs, but you can pick specific songs from the 80s and say he was locked in a room with this song and he wanted to make his version of that song. Or he wanted to capture the mood, or he wanted to do one of the tricks that they did, but do that as a part of his own thing. And so it's like, it's so, again, pop music used to get a bad rap. I don't know what happened on GeoCities with all the complainers and stuff. When we started being on the internet, like, people almost tricked us into believing that if you made likable music that you suck and it's really easy to do. And I'm growing up means you understand that it's not easy to do, and there's a bunch of people that are trying to do it that can't do it to save their lives. So when somebody is successful at making likable, catchy music, I kind of want to reward them with my ears. I know there's more than one way to skin a cat, but like Neon Indian and his crew, they skinned the hell out of this cat with this Glitzy Hive song. So I had to get to it at some point.
How can the lovely listeners get a hold of us to, guys, make some more comments about Glitzy Hive and by Neon Indian and the laws have changed by New Pornographers?
On the Record Jams at gmail.com. On the Record Jams on Facebook. OTJR at Blue Sky. On the Record Jams on the X/Twitter, if you can pry yourself away from talking about one gorilla versus 100 dudes long enough to post about something else. And
Gmail.
And you can on the record jams at gmail.com.
Guys, look, we appreciate it. Thank you for the support. Let's talk about some music. And definitely let us know what you thought about these two records. Reach out at us and keep your lamplight trimmed and burning.
And keep on jamming.